This is a bonus webinar regarding Coach Reid and his weight problem in honor of Kansas City going to Super Bowl 2024.
How'd you spend the evening?
Had a cheeseburger and went to bed.
Coming up next is a commercial that inspired me to do this webinar for you guys.
All right, Coach Reid. Let's say these fries are your car, right? And
And this burger is your home.
Okay.
it can be more affordable if you bundle them together.
Kind of like a combo meal.
The reason I picked him is because he loves food.
Explain it again with those nuggies.
Bundling.
If you guys have played football, you probably know that when a coach is coaching, he's got to be out there on the field. He's not sitting in a chair like someone who works at a computer, correct?
Right.
He's out there on his own 2 feet. Now, I don't know how much he weighs, but let's just take a guess that he's about 80 pounds overweight. With being 80 pounds overweight, if I gave you a gunny sack that weighed 80 pounds and say, here you go, carry this around everywhere you go, would that be some work for you guys to carry around?
I'd be a lot stronger.
Actually, Ron, I want to congratulate you for using the right word. He said, I would be a lot stronger. He didn't say he'd be thinner, but he'd be a hell of a lot stronger. And this is key. Ron, Coach Reid may be fat, but he is very strong because he's been carrying around this weight everywhere he goes. You know how people count their steps? If you put a watch on this guy, watch during Super Bowl on Sunday, how much he's pacing. Do you think he can put in 10,000 steps in a day? Absolutely. This is why I want to remind you guys that losing weight isn't about exercise. Exercise makes you stronger. Yes. Exercise can sculpt your body once you get the fat off. Yes. But exercise does not help you to lose weight. Exercise is good for many other things, but that's not the conversation for today. Conversation for today is health. How healthy is Coach Reid? Can you guys notice that his knees kind of look like they're buckling in? Well, this is why people who are overweight have knee problems, because all that weight distribution creating his body to be a little bit out of whack. Take a look at those legs. See the redness that's right in here?
Yep.
This is showing peripheral artery disease. He's got redness over here, and I'm going to say, if I could open it up wider, he's probably got a backed up vein right in here. So this is a sign of somebody who not only has peripheral artery disease, obviously if he has peripheral artery disease, he also has type 2 diabetes. He probably has high blood pressure. He probably has a load of medications that his doctors are giving him. One of which would be probably they put him on a statin so that he doesn't have a heart attack. That's what the cardiologists believe. Not that it works, but that's what they believe. He's probably on high blood pressure pills, and not just one, probably 2. He probably has blood sugar issues, if not already on diabetic medication. For those of you who don't know, he's very well known for loving cheeseburgers. That's his thing.
We got you a Christmas gift.
May you all get a gift as great as this. Cheeseburgers of paradise, baby.
I have no problem, guys, with you guys eating cheeseburgers. For you guys who have been through the course, what do you guys remember that would be helpful for you to help Coach Reid and say, you can still eat a cheeseburger, but what would you recommend he do? I am 5'4", 110 pounds. I could eat that cheeseburger. Do you think that one cheeseburger is going to do it for Coach Reid? No, he's a big guy. I would say, Coach Reid, let's do this. Let's make a protein style cheeseburger, which we wrap it in lettuce without the bun and eat that first. Here's the difference from what you hear other people say. I'm going to say he gets to eat the second one with the bun on both sides. Do you see the process in that and what that does for him differently? He's going to take off the 2 buns, which are the carbohydrates. He's going to start his digestive process where his gut biome says, thank you for the protein, fat, and fiber. And he's going to start feeling more satiated. But that's not going to be enough for him. He's going to need to eat a second cheeseburger, which I have no problem with. I would tell him, go ahead and eat the second one, but this time you get to eat the bun. So he still gets to enjoy it. And guess what's going to happen? He's probably not going to need to eat as many French fries because you see in the bottom, he's eating French fries in the corner there. I have a problem with French fries because industrial oils cause inflammation. When you saw his legs earlier and Bruce pointed out that he has peripheral artery disease, well, that's where it can come from, is the industrial oils. So instead of eating the French fries and a big bag of them, I would say, hey, why don't you do this? Just order yourself a small set of fries. Or if you order a big, share it with somebody, but at least this way you get the taste of the French fries, but just don't eat the whole darn bag. The other option would be, instead of doing the French fries, if he really loves potatoes, he can eat a baked potato, which Wendy's, by the way, I don't know how many of you have Wendy's where you're at. They have a baked potato and they can put chili and cheese on top. And by the way, on this picture, you guys can see just about how wide he is on his belly there. In this commercial, Patrick Mahomes, Mr. Handsome sitting there, actually has a basket of chicken nuggets. If I were to help Coach Reid, I would say, okay, Coach Reid, if you want to have chicken nuggets and French fries at the same time, eat half chicken nuggets and a quarter of the fries, because at least the chicken nuggets have protein in them. Whereas the fries, they don't have any protein. So those are just making a little bit better decisions. But what else do you see on the table there that is a problem?
Soda.
Coke,
Yep.
pop, the drinks.
I like the idea if you fill that pop full of ice, because that means you'll drink less of the sweetened drink. Now, whether that's a no calorie, 0 calorie, or low calorie drink doesn't matter. The first and foremost thing is it's a soda. You need to put a lot of ice in it so you'll drink less of it.
Yeah, if I could make a suggestion, instead of chicken nuggets, if he had chicken strips, then he wouldn't get all of that chicken fat. I've seen how chicken nuggets are made, and they put lots of fat in with the chicken to form those shapes. But if he got chicken strips, he's just getting protein.
Let me let everybody know, Ron helps factories. Ron, can you explain why you were watching the chicken nuggets being made?
Yeah, I go into a lot of manufacturing companies, mostly food manufacturing and wine manufacturing companies. And so I get to see how they make all of this. But I coach them on how to save money on their production lines. But I've seen how chicken nuggets are made, and I have never eaten one since.
Okay, guys, this is what's important to hear. You know what, Ron, this would be a good anti-chicken nugget to send to Coach Reid and say, hey, before you eat another chicken nugget, please watch this. I think Ron made a good point, and that is if they're making these into shapes, and by the way, I'm going to say cute shapes because sometimes they make them into animal shapes for children. You can buy them frozen in the shape of a...
It's called extruded. They extrude it through a machine that makes that shape. And just to give you a graphic, I saw the chicken being combined with the blocks of fat. The blocks of fat were about 3 feet by 3 feet cubes that were rolling down the assembly line, and they grind that fat up with the chicken so that when they extrude it through the machine, it's like making plastic parts. They extrude it through a machine, it holds that shape because it has all of that fat connected to it.
Doesn't sound tasty. Ron, when they make chicken strips, do the strips have less fat because they're actually taking real pieces of chicken and then breading and deep frying?
That's correct.
Okay, guys, here's the thing. They're breading and deep frying, so you're getting industrial fat in there. I would rather him eat a chicken drumstick because that's the natural fat with the skin. That's the kind of fat I'm talking about. But we got to make do with where Coach Reid is in his journey. He's not going to like it if I take away all of his goodies. So I just am asking him to make one level up changes. Just a little change here and a little change there will change his biochemistry to where he will start desiring better and better food. But it's going to take some time. Going back to the chicken strips. Now I know, Ron, why my father likes Church's chicken, because they do chicken strips and it's as if he's eating real white meat. Granted, it is deep fried, but you know, I pick my battles with my father. I'm not going to say, no, Dad, you can't have your church's chicken. Okay, now going back to the soda. Let's say his soda choice is a no-calorie sweetener. The reason I have issue with that is because they create a problem with the gut biome. But you know what? When it comes down to it, the other problem, it ticks the dopamine hit for the sugar area to create more of a sugar addiction. But that's an addiction we have to work with. We can't take that soda away from him. We've got to work to where he drinks less of it at each time, to the point where he can then switch from, if it's a 0-calorie drink, to the actual sugar drink. But hopefully by then he's calmed his sugar addiction down. The goal is just add a bunch of ice to the cup so you get the flavor and you get the experience, but you don't get as much of it. The chicken nuggets that you see here, how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's say there's 6 or 7 in there. I would tell Coach Reid, well, enjoy them, but take one nugget out. That's an easy thing for anybody to do. Eat one less nugget every time, and eventually get to the point where you're satisfied with just maybe 2 or 3 nuggets, and eventually to no nuggets. That's another method. And by the way, I'm telling you guys this because if you have family members who have not gone through the course, these are easy, low-hanging fruit things you can help them with without being what we call the food police. Nobody wants someone like that at their table, because that's just going to ruin the whole experience. If you guys don't know, Andy Reid was a fat kid. At age 13, it says here, he was participating in a Monday Night Football punt and pass kick competition. And he was already so large at the age of 13, he was able to wear the jersey of Les Jofferson, who was 6'1", 207 pounds. At age 13. Can you guys see how well the shirt fit him? He does not look like he's wearing a big man shirt. So let's go back to why I bring this up. A lot of people that I've talked to have said, you know, I was a fat kid. And because they were a fat kid, they think they're doomed for the rest of their life. And no, Mother Nature doesn't make a fat kid. A kid is fat because he doesn't know what to eat or when to eat. Just like an adult who's overweight doesn't know what to eat or when to eat. We can make those changes. We could help anybody, even a kid who's been fat all his life. Now, I don't see him as being that fat compared to kids today. At age 13, the way he looks there, he's just a really big guy. Now let's go on to what he's had to suffer with. Parents' worst nightmare. His son, Garrett, died of a heroin overdose. The death of your firstborn son had to have taken a toll on him. And why I bring this up is because a lot of us who overeat can do that because we are trying to comfort ourselves. It's a way of pacifying ourselves, a way of bringing us joy when we are in sadness. And one of the things that I shudder to think of what it would be like to have the loss of a child. Now, granted, he wasn't a kid, he was 29 years of age, but still, that was a huge loss. Not only did this happen, before the Super Bowl 3 years ago, his son Britt, who was an assistant coach with him, ended up having a car accident where he ran into 2 parked cars on the side of the road. I believe he was on the way to practice at that time, and he ended up maiming a 5-year-old girl and gave her a traumatic brain injury. He was charged with a DUI. He also admitted to being on Adderall. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and take the Adderall medication discussion and put that on the shelf for now. You add the medication to alcohol and then behind the wheel of a car. He was going 83 miles per hour when he hit this car. He did get 3 years in prison for it. Okay, so you have to imagine the turmoil. This would be a parent's worst nightmare that one of their children did something of this nature. A lot to deal with, guys, a lot emotionally. But now you add the stress of what's coming from his family. He's getting it from both sides, or all 3 sides in a way, because one son passes away, the other son does this. And not only this, but 3 days before the Super Bowl in 2021. So he knows that not only is he dealing with this, but that the whole world knows about it. When it comes down to it, the reason I bring this up is because, guys, our emotions are locked into our hormones, and one feeds the other. So let's put it in simple terms. If you're overweight or have belly fat, and why I say or have belly fat, because you don't have to be overweight to have belly fat. You can be the perfect weight, but still have the belly fat. If you have too much fat around your midsection, it's going to create a problem for your hormones. You have a problem with your hormones, it's going to create a problem with your emotions. You have a problem with your emotions, and then you have life hitting you with things that are beyond your control, because he can't control what his kids do. They're adults. It's hitting him from so many different avenues that I feel for the man. So this is not about him losing weight. It's about him controlling his emotions with a better body that's in better state. Coach Reid is worth $35 million. Now, granted, some of you would say, hey, I'd trade places with him still, having $35 million of net worth. This has to be tough, even with all the millions of dollars this man is worth. But the reason I bring it up is, even though he's worth $35 million, he still doesn't have the right knowledge on how to control his weight. Fix the problem. He doesn't know what to do. And the money that he's spent obviously hasn't shown him the way. So let's go over what's important to him. He has a wife who you see here, and he has 12 grandchildren. This is a picture of him with some of his grandchildren. And in an interview, he said that his wife wants him to travel with her, and that's what he's looking forward to do in his retirement. First of all, take a look at his body. How do you think the plane ride is going to be with a body like that? Ron's shaking his head. Ron's probably also thinking of the DVT. And explain, Ron, what happened on the plane, just real quick, about the DVT.
Yeah, I got off the plane, went to a meeting, and I noticed one leg was swelling up, and I was getting a lot of pain in it. So I dismissed myself from the meeting, went to the hospital, and they admitted me right away.
If he hadn't have done that, he would have had a blood clot that could have killed him. So I worry about Coach Reid getting on a plane when he's up in an air pressure chamber that is going to cause it easy for a person to have a stroke or a embolism. And Coach Reid is unfortunately at high risk of that. Not to mention the other thing, and this is something I never had even thought of until one of our clients, Mr. Bill, who you guys met long ago, who talked about putting on a seatbelt. He was so happy the day that he was able to put on a seatbelt, and he was happy because it could fit, because before the seatbelt wouldn't fit around him. Do you think the seatbelt's going to fit Coach Reid the way he is? What's going to help him is he flies private. He's not going to fly on a regular plane. He's going to fly privately where they don't wear seatbelts. But for those of us who don't have a private jet to take us to Europe, you know, this is something to consider, the seatbelt. And not to mention also the seat size. Seat sizes have gotten smaller, but we Americans have gotten much bigger. But here's the thing that his wife wants. His wife wants him alive to go with her on these trips. Mm-hmm. Here's the other thing that Coach Reid mentioned, and he has 12 grandchildren at the time that we're making this, which is 2024. His joy is to spend time with his grandchildren. Is he going to be around to see these grandchildren get married if he continues on this path? The problem is he may be in a wheelchair if he's lucky to be there. And so what's important here, guys, is not just about health. It's about your longevity. He has $35 million of net worth. Is he going to get to see the fruits of all of that? More than likely, his wife and his grandchildren will. But I'm not so sure Coach Reid will.
You spend your health to get your wealth, and then you spend your wealth to get your health back.
That's a good point. Granted, Coach Reid is under a lot of stress. Stress is adding to his weight problem. So let's go over what he has done. And this is the research I found, and it says ESPN reveals that Reid followed a specialized diet plan known as the MediFast. Again, this is for you guys who have been through the course, because I'm going to ask you questions. Here's the first thing I have a problem with. Coach Reid doing a diet. I circle the word diet. The problem with a diet is statistically, the odds are so against you when you do a diet. Now, Coach Reid did not become one of the winningest coaches of his time by not looking at statistics. But yet, when it came to losing weight, he failed to see the statistics on a diet. Because a diet, 95% of dieters end up regaining the weight they lost within 2 years. Guys, I did research on Coach Reid. There have been 2 different times he's dieted and successfully lost weight. But obviously, what happened? He gained it back. One time, I believe he lost 75 pounds, and another time he lost 60 pounds. But like many people that I've interviewed, they told me, hey, I've lost the weight and gained it back so many darn times. Same weight, just keeps coming back, coming back. And why did it come back? Nutritionally balanced. Let's talk about the MediFast. If you're nutritionally balanced, that's good. I'm glad that he had nutrition. Most diets do have the proper nutrition. Focused on portion control. Okay, there's problem number 1 in big blatant letters. Portion control. So the fact that they made him portion control was already putting him at a deficit. That's why he had the rebound effect of gaining the weight back. Because when you diet, you portion control, you eat less at one meal, it's going to come back to haunt you. Your body's going to go into a state where your metabolism starts to slow down. And then when you start eating again, because it's slowed down, you gain more weight. You gain it back not only again, you gain it faster. Here's the other thing. Low fat. Ron?
Add sugar.
You don't have fat for flavor and satiation, you're going to crave more carbohydrates or sugar. Definitely. You're going to feel like you're not satisfied. And this is why a low-fat diet is not good. When it comes to the diet, he chose the wrong plan, obviously. What we should have him do, here's a picture of him, and I just want to show you guys his neck to remind you guys what the goals are. And right now, you guys can tell he really doesn't have a neck, right? It just kind of goes straight. You notice that? There's no indentation. I don't know what his neck measurement is, but I can tell you right now it's not good. The good thing is he's got $35 million worth of net worth, and he's got a great tie and shirt and suit fitted to him. So he does not look like he is overweight. But you can tell by the neck, there is no neck. So let's go over what we should be focused on stat-wise. So if I were having Coach Reid in this class, we would first start with his neck measurement. Do you guys remember what the goal is? At or below? Anyone want to throw a guess out? So that we can avoid sleep apnea.
17.
Yay! David got it. The number 17. Congratulations, Dave. 17 inches. You want your neck to be 17 inches or smaller so that you do not suffer from sleep apnea. Whether or not he has a sleep apnea device, I don't know. But if he does or doesn't matter. I can tell you right now, that neck is over 17 inches and he is not sleeping the way that he should. Now, I'm not going to give you a sleep webinar on this because that's in your bonus section. You have a whole entire webinar on sleep. But this is part of the problem of why he remains overweight and probably why emotionally he has a lot on his plate because he's not sleeping well enough in order to get restful sleep so he can take on the day. Now, granted, he's done amazing things in the world of football. I tend to believe that football is what gets his mind off of all of his other problems. That's probably why he's so great at it when it comes to coaching. He can be successful at coaching these players because from what I believe, he's gone to the Super Bowl with different teams, meaning it's not the team, it's him. Would you guys agree if he's been able to take different teams to the Super Bowl, that it's his coaching ability that is the big key here? So now let's go on to waist to height ratio. And I'm going to give you guys the female version because I apologize. I have not done this before. So if you guys have females, you want to snapshot this right now for them because we're going to go on to the men next. This is waist to height ratio, and we're going to take some numbers from Bruce, and we're going to calculate, and we're going to see where Bruce lies in here because it's not about weight, guys. It's about the ratio of your belly to your height. So let's go over here to what the men are. So this is the one for you guys. You're going to measure at the belly button what your waist measurement is. You're going to divide that by how many inches tall that you are. So Bruce, give me some data. Tell me first how many inches tall you are.
I'm 68 inches and my belly is 37 and a half.
Okay, so I'm going to take 37.5. I'm going to divide it by 68. We get Bruce at 0.55. So Bruce, you are in this area here. Can you guys see here? Guys, you know I don't like to talk about weight, but this is a way of talking about weight without putting a number to it, because I don't care the number on the scale as much as I care about the ratio of the height to the weight to get you at your best. Okay, so if he's 0.55, that would put him in the overweight category. He's one category away from being healthy, just one. So Bruce, you are almost there. So your goal should be to get into a 0.53. That should be your goal. And this way you guys are going to do your own mathematics. Bill, are you able to give us your numbers? Because you represent the, what we call the TOFI.
I just did it. It's 0.53.
Ding, ding, ding. Okay. He's at the very bottom of the overweight. He has a little bit to go. Bill is a smidge away from being healthy. So Bill, your goal is to get below 0.53. Guys, do you see how we're utilizing this? This is not about Bill going on the scale and telling me, oh, I weigh 100 and whatever pounds. I don't care how much Bill weighs. All I care about is how healthy Bill is. Same thing with you guys that are what we call big bone guys, or if Coach Reid were here right now, I don't know his stats. All I need to know is these two numbers. And obviously you're moving in the scale in the right direction when you go on this chart. I want you guys to always try to get into that healthy range. That healthy range is where we want to be in the middle. Here's why I bring this waist to height ratio up, because I want to reiterate. You can look at the scale, like I say, for shits and giggles once a month, but that's it. This measurement, you could look at it every month and it really tells you what's going on.
You said that you measure your waist at your belly button. I assume that if your waist measurement is bigger above your belly button, then that's what you need to measure?
No, you have to measure it at your belly button, and the reason being.
But we men who have an overhung load.
Yes, and you measure it at the overhung load area, because your belly button, if it hangs, it can be tilted, but you're measuring that tilt.
You still measure at your belly button no matter what dimension
no
is
matter.
above it?
Exactly. And the reason is because if you think about it, the reason it's hanging is because you haven't lost enough to make it flat. And the belly button will always be there. And again, guys, this is why when I talk to you guys about measurements, I want you guys to be measuring your waist and your neck every month. But anyways, when it comes to the neck measurement, guys, 17 isn't where you stop. 17 is just where we get you so that we know that you're sleeping better. And the more you can lose weight around the neck, the better your sleep is going to be. Because that's really key, guys. Sleeping increases the amount of quality hormones that you have. And when I say quality hormones, if you go to bed and you sleep and you get poor quality sleep, your hormones are going to be out of whack. When your hormones are out of whack, you hang on to more weight. Anybody know these two guys, the Kelsey brothers? They play different positions. Can you tell me which one this guy plays on the right? Is his name Jason Kelsey?
He's a center.
A lineman is one who has to have more weight on him because it's protecting, right?
Right.
And what does Travis do?
He's a tight end receiver.
Fast.
So he has to run. So their bodies are different based on what they play. Okay, so 2 years age difference.
Oh, they're old.
I would like to point something out to you guys, and that is because I'm a stickler about things. You see the weight he has right there? You see that roll? He's got love handles. I'm going to tell you right now, if Travis Kelce was in this course, we could improve his health immensely. Even though somebody would say, well, why would you want to bother with him? He looks fine. No, he's not fine, guys. So this is why when it comes down to it, this role here is a problem because of how young Travis Kelce is. Now, look at his brother's stomach. Here's something else we have to go over. Do you see how thick he is? Straight. He doesn't have the overhang yet. Ron, you had mentioned yours hangs over, correct?
Yes.
Okay, the reason yours hangs over is because you've had time for gravity to have it pull down. This Kelce brother here hasn't had gravity fighting him for that many years yet, but it'll be on the way. So now
I'd
let's
feel a lot better if I walked around on my hands.
actually, that would be true. That is true. Now here's why I bring this up. This is a picture of Travis exercising. Now we can all agree, you can see he's sweating a lot. You can see he's doing probably what they call a boot camp type of exercise. So losing weight is not about exercise, guys, because even though he does that exercise, look at what he has, a love handle. For a guy who plays football, what's he doing with a love handle?
A tight end is a combination lineman and receiver. He
Ah,
has to go up against the biggest, meanest, strongest guy on the opposing team, and that's the defensive end. Those guys are so mean, so bad, so heavy, and he hits you with such force. If you don't have some weight on you, you're going to land on your bottom.
his
You
body
got to have it.
is necessary to have the extra weight so that he doesn't get pushed around.
Because a lot of teams do that. You see some boys and they're just great athletes, but they aren't heavy enough, and they'll put 20 and 30 pounds on them.
If they're making Travis Kelce put on weight so that he can have some stability out on the front line before he runs out to go catch the ball, that makes perfect sense. But what I do want to say is the incredible ability of your human body to be able to do this. And as soon as Travis Kelce no longer plays football, he needs to do this course because he needs to put his body right back into how it should be. But how many of us know football players that retire but keep eating the way they were when they were playing football? And what happens to them afterwards? Unfortunately, they die an early death. They have a heart attack or stroke because of all the excess weight they're carrying, or they have a lot of debilitating disease. They have a lot of ailments, and it's unfortunate when it comes down to it, because it doesn't have to be that way. It's because they don't learn how to go back to living in the real world.
I forgot where it was that he played. They called him the Minister of Defense. He was huge, man. So strong, it was ridiculous. And what happened, as soon as he retired, he kept eating and doing everything. And he had sleep apnea, and he died.
Well, see there, the sleep apnea, I'm going to say, is probably going on with a lot of these linemen already, even while they're still young and in football making so much money, but yet their bodies are falling apart. And it doesn't have to be that way. But here's what I would like to say, David, what I love when you say
425 pounds.
425 pounds. And here's what's key. You guys don't have to worry about the weight. You just worry about the ratio. And this will negate your height being an issue. Because I've talked to a lot of people who said, yeah, but I'm a big bone guy. So when it comes to the whole entire program that you guys are doing, you guys are learning the importance of whittling down the waist. Whittling down the waist while you're still building muscle. Growth hormone is what's going to put on muscle weight, which if I had these linemen or Travis Kelce in this class, I would say, let me help you put muscle on instead of fat, because muscle will also make you strong. And muscle will also help so that you don't get pushed around, right? Is it really the fat guy that's the one you can't get through? Well, the reason they make them fat is because it's easier to make you put on fat than it is to put on muscle. That I have to agree with. It's easier if it wasn't, well, we'd be walking around with a bunch of Americans that would be all so muscular because we eat so much. but it's not that way. So based on that concept, if you want to put on fat because you're listening to this and you're playing football, I get it. It's the easy way.
If you're a man that wants to get rid of belly fat once and for all, to get healthier, then click the link below this video. It's my calendar where you can talk directly with me about what's going on with your situation. Look forward to talking to you on the other side.